going to be successful in business, you have to be willing to hire people that are smarter than you.
You can't do it yourself. You have to have people that you trust.
Everybody is as important as the next person.
You have to take risks.
Every business should be prepared to be sold in 5 years.
Business Newsmakers is brought to you by Tompkins Mahopac Bank, your local, mobile, and remarkable community bank.
Hello and welcome to Hudson Valley News Network's Business Newsmakers show, brought to you by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. I'm Philomena Finelli of Impact PR and Communications, and I'm here to help you get all up in the business of the wow-worthy leaders and community change makers from the Hudson Valley. Today, I'm joined by automobile entrepreneur Steve Hoare. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Philomena.
It's fun to have you in the studio. You have multiple car businesses, starting with your first one, Wheels R Us, which is a wholesale car business. Can you explain to people out there watching what that means?
Yeah, basically we buy the trade-ins at new car dealers, and we try to buy in volume as much as we can, and we sell them to used car dealers or other new car dealers. So we're like a broker for cars, but we're buying a depreciating asset. So it's very important that we move them as fast as we can.
And in addition to that, you've also gone into the retail end of the business, which is the car, going to buy a car like most of us would associate with a used car dealership through Mag Auto. 3 locations, 3 counties, Dutchess, Orange, Ulster, yes?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And in addition to that, just in January, you bought another dealership, a Ford dealership in Millerton.
Yeah, formerly McLean Ford. I teamed up with a partner, Lan Rubin, very well known in the car industry also, and we started Northeast Ford. So it's a new adventure.
Congratulations on building upon your business.
Yeah.
Now, for everybody out there hearing this, they're going to say, wow, Steve, he has all these great things, all the success. You must have the luck of the Irish.
No, I don't think it's luck. I think I really don't believe in luck. I think it's perseverance meets opportunity. And I've always, persevered, and I've always worked hard, and I put myself in the right place for that opportunity when it comes, And
when you started your first business, you were straight from Ireland. You came here to the U.S. You had no money. You certainly had no lines of credit because you were new to the country. How did you save up the capital needed to get going with your idea?
I got a job selling cars in Wappinger Falls, and I had my goals. I wanted to have my own business in America. So I set out to learn about the car business here, because it's a little different from Ireland, because the cars are different. And my goal basically was save enough money, and I put away as little as $100 a week for 4 years. And within 4 years, I had $20,000, and that allowed me to take the risk and go ahead and start the wholesale business.
It's incredible to me because $100 a week doesn't seem like much, but if you add it up over time and you're diligent, it really does amount to something.
Sure. I mean, to me, it was a lot of money back then. I mean, you're talking the early 90s. I basically went out, drove around, looked for cars for sale in people's driveways, knocked on the door, and just said, are you willing to sell that car? And they'd say, yeah, I've been meaning to get rid of it. No one wants it. And so just take it. And I had people, friends help me and family members help me here. I was married with two babies, basically. So there was a lot of fear involved also, but the fear kind of drove me. So I got up every morning, I just went out, and I let my fear basically drive me to get cars. And I discovered wholesale basically by accident because the turnover was so much faster. So for me, it was ideal because it worked for my personality. It worked for the way I like to do things. I want to get things done fast and sold fast. And so
keep it moving.
It really worked very well for me. And I was like, that's what I want, And I was blessed. I met a gentleman who was much older than me, and he was in the car business, and he was very successful at one time in wholesale, and he gotten out of it, but he wanted to get back in. We met per chance, and we decided to start a company together.
He kind of took you under his wing?
He did, and he taught me a lot of great things, which is very important in business. I mean, he taught me a lot about integrity, doing the right thing. In the car business, as you know, car dealers, it can be very tough to have a good, people are afraid of car dealers. So, John Laspina is his name. John taught me, just tell them everything that's wrong with the car. Have integrity. And little things like that go a long way, later. Because my customers, I didn't have to bring a car. I could pick up the phone Tell them this is the car and send it to them. And this made my business even, the ability to grow even faster, because I didn't have to do all the traveling. Like I would show you a car, take hours. You know, with integrity, people trust you. And if there is a problem with the car, he would say, take it back. You know, and I would take it back. He would say, just do that. And I didn't understand that right away, but as a young man, I would be like, no, try this out. And he said, no, because that's what comes back to you later. And between John and I, we took a company from as little as 10 cars a week to we were doing 100 cars a week within 5 years. My goals, I would set my goals and say, okay, I just want to pay my bills. I was lucky my wife was an LPN. She was willing to, she encouraged me also. And she said, look, go out there, you can do it. She believed in me. And I said, look, I'm just going to work hard, see what happens with John. And we started out, and there was some months we'd make $20,000 in sales, but our bills would be $21,000, and we'd lose $1,000. And then the next month we might make $4,000. But the strict rules we kind of stood to was, let's take a minimal amount of money home.
So you
as a
didn't
salary.
draw much salary in those
and
early
we
days?
left the profit in the business, and we let it grow. And the first year we might have made $10,000. The second year we might have made $50,000 or whatever. But it really, we didn't see that growth come. All we knew is we were able to have more and more inventory every year, and as the inventory grew, the profits grew. And you know, I say to anybody young, you know, have a 5-year plan. It's okay. It's okay not to make a lot of money right away. It's more important to build that business, build your personal relationships. Very important in my business. I'm sure in most businesses the same, but for us, it was all about the personal relationships. I got to know so many people in the car business, and it happens, you know, just by working hard and persistence, and the byproduct later is that you turn around and you've made money, finally. And things are coming along, and I was able to, you know, we were able to get to, every year we did between 4,000 and 5,000 cars a year, and it was, you know, I go out and I set goals every year for myself, and I say, this is the amount of cars I'd like to do. And in order to do that, I break it down literally to the day, the week, the month, and like I said, before you know it, you have 4,000 cars sold, and the byproduct of that is that there's money in the bank.
So you're starting with the end goal, and then you're breaking it into smaller, more tangible pieces?
Yeah.
And you do this every year?
Yes. Every year I set new goals, and you have to be realistic and achievable. And I don't always reach my goals, and that's okay. I don't get hard on myself. The important thing is that I try my best all the time, you know?
Well, you have a lot of people rooting for you, so many people who believe in you right now. You've been blessed to give back to the community through your success, but there was a time you didn't believe in yourself. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Growing up in Ireland in the 70s, I have ADHD, so, you know, the teachers weren't equipped for a child like me. I was really a lot of work. I was hyperactive, never stopped talking. I was that class clown, you know. But, you know, on the outside, that's what you saw. On the inside, I didn't feel up to par with everybody else, because academically I was terrible. You know, I didn't get the grades my friends got. So, you know, I had low self-esteem, so I didn't quite believe in myself, first of all.
And you didn't get to go on that traditional academic path of like
Not at
graduate,
all.
go to
No,
go get
I
a
didn't
degree.
graduate, you know, just because academically I fell behind a lot. But, and I didn't quite believe in myself, but I knew what I wanted to do in life. And people believed in me. People that knew me were able to say, look, Stephen, you can do this, even though I didn't believe in myself. So I believed in others before I believed in myself. But what I found is, in the business, especially being ADHD, is that if you find something you love and you do it, you will focus. And when we focus, we can do a lot. People with, you know, who are hyperactive or ADHD, we can multitask. So the fact that I can take, you know, 100 phone calls in a day and handle them, and
So it's been an asset to you.
Absolutely an asset. I'd say to any young person who has ADHD that, you know, if they can find something that they love and they can focus on, because that's what it's about, it's the focus. When I didn't focus, I could read a page and it wouldn't go from here to here. But when it comes to cars, I could tell you basically, if I have 50 cars, I can tell you the miles, the color, the make, the model. I retain everything when it comes to something I focus on, and I can do many things at once doing that. And I think all people with ADHD do. I would definitely say to anybody who feels that they just because they're not great in school doesn't mean that they can't be great in business, you know. And I'm not saying I'm great, I'm saying they can be great in business. For me, it's definitely been one of my biggest assets, you know.
And I sense that because I've seen you out in the community mentoring other young entrepreneurs, people who maybe needed somebody to turn to them and say, I believe in you. How has that been like to be able to now be on the other side?
It's quite a shock at first. Like if someone comes to you, and when first time anybody ever asked me for advice, it was a shock because I'd never been asked advice from anybody, you know, because like I said, when I was younger, I was that kid, you know.
And sometimes that advice is to proceed with an idea, and sometimes that advice is to not proceed. What are some of the flags if somebody has a business idea that they should look for to see if maybe it's not the correct thing to move on?
One of my mentors told me a long time ago, you got to feel like it's right, 100%. Like if you feel everything is, it's all good and there's no negative to it. Once you do the math and everything else and it feels right, go with it. But if you have any objections that are have you up at night worried about, and what about this thing, what about that? I have never gone forward with that.
So no reservations?
No reservations. You look, I believe there's plenty of opportunities. I don't think it has to be that you go out and make it happen and force a round peg in a square hole just so you can be in business. I think it has to be something that just is right all around. And I've been blessed again, like I said, it's always happened for me that way. It's very important, the people that I'm with also, the people who work for me. I have some fantastic people at Wheels R Us. I have a young man, Jason's been with me 25 or 24 years or 20 years. Can't remember 22, but he's fantastic. Like I can leave my business and I know it's taken care of, you know. And it allows me to move
business
on.
Taken care of, you have your children in the business now too.
Yeah. Well, you asked me earlier about the retail, and that's why I started the retail, because my kids were getting older. My youngest went to college, the other two wanted to be in the car business. So we decided together we'd open a business, and we started Mag Auto Corp, the one in Poughkeepsie. And it's great. It's great that my kids are there. It's a family business, and it's a family-run business. And I have a general manager there, Louis Rosado, and his family, his wife works there, his son, his daughter, and my family. And we have it's a fun place. Like you come in and he makes it fantastic. And again, I couldn't do this without people like him. I don't take the credit for my businesses. I take the credit for working hard and being persistent, but I can't take the credit for what the people I have, or, they're amazing people. And I've always been blessed. It's like God put the right people in my life.
How do you find those right people? Because not everybody is trustworthy and full of integrity. I know you mentioned that word integrity earlier.
Yeah.
How do you vet that somebody is that?
An example like the latest endeavor with Lan Rubin, my new partner in the Ford dealership, Northeast Ford. I've known Lan for 20 years in the car business, in wholesale. So I've done business with Lan. I've seen how he does business and his integrity, how he is in the community. This guy is doing events for people, cancer and survivors. And I always admired him because he was always giving back in the community, always giving back, and doing business one-on-one with him. A good person when you meet one. And you watch his following and his results. And then I was able to say, I would be, more than happy to get into business with this guy. And I always planted the seed with him, and he kind of did with me years ago. If we ever get the opportunity, I would love to do business with a guy like him.
Thank you to you for being someone in our community that other people feel like they can call, or that you're that person that people can turn to, say, you can do this. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for joining us on Business Newsmakers today.
Thank you very much, Philomena.
Thank you for tuning in and joining us for Business Newsmakers. We hope you'll tune back in next week to hear from more leaders in our community.
Now it's time for this week's Tompkins Tip with Amy Greiner, Vice President of Business Development.
Do you need new equipment to support your business? Assess the costs of leasing versus buying needed office equipment, including the outright cost for the item, plus maintenance, fees, and depreciation factors. Consider the amount of funds available for an outright purchase, whether a loan will be needed to fill a monetary gap, and the payment terms of the loan. Review costs for rent-to-buy options and rental programs, including payment terms, equipment maintenance services, and replacement policies. Estimate the effective life of the equipment before it will need to be replaced with a newer model versus the cost to buy or rent it. Talk with a tax professional about possible tax benefits associated with buying or leasing new equipment. Depending on the situation, it may make sense to buy or it may make sense to lease. Don't forget to do the research and consult with your trusted business advisors.
Business Newsmakers is brought to you by Tompkins Mayapack Bank, your local, mobile, and remarkable community bank.